Hi guys, it's Amy, your golf coach. Welcome to Playing for the First Time series. Today we'll be talking about some simple golf terms for newbies. We're going to basically focus on what's inside the bag. Let's get started. Subscribe, like, comment down below how your golf game is. Now, back to the golf lesson. If you are about ready to go play out on the golf course, obviously you will know the names of your equipment, but unless they had friends or husbands or wives that are helping with their golf game, I thought it'll be very helpful for a lot of you guys for me to go through the golf bag and tell you the names and parts of the club, etc, etc. So we'll start with what's inside the bag. Ta-da! Okay, so this is the driver. This is the big dog. This guy is the longest club in the bag and it goes the farthest. Okay, so this we would call the club head. And this surface where the ball hits, we call the club face. And then the middle right here, we call that the sweet spot. And when you hit the sweet spot, that's a good thing. It'll go straight and far. If you can get this sweet spot every single shot, then your shots are getting consistent, you're becoming a better golfer. And then on the club face, club head, now, we call this the sweet spot. Now, this part, we call it the toe. Kind of like the foot, right? Toe. So, this would be your heel. And then this hosel, we call it the neck or the hosel. This is the part where it connects your club head to the shaft. This is the shaft right here. There are graphite shafts like this, or there are steel shafts as well. Looks like this. Ta-da! Steel shaft, like literally steel shaft. And then this part where you hold the club, we call it the grip. This is made of like rubber. The thickness of it could matter. If you have small hands, you want to have thin grips. If you have big hands, but not thick hands, long fingers, then you want to have thicker grips to accommodate your grip. Oh, let's just mention this. Top of the driver, this is what we call the crown. If you mishit it and hit the crown, it'll leave a big mark. We don't want that. Also, the ball's gonna go straight up into the sky. You pop it up. No good. And then the bottom part is the sole. For beginners, the more loft you have, it's a lot easier to hit. It's easier to get the golf ball airborne. So more lofted in the beginning would be more suggested. For example, my driver is 9.5 degrees. So more lofted would be like 12.5 kind of thing. So it's more this way, more lofted, right? And this is the head cover. I mean, these are simple things, but if you know the proper golf terms, it always helps. And then this is the fairway wood. Usually a lot of people use like 3 fairway wood or 5 wood. Some do use 7 wood, 9 wood. Those are rare nowadays. It looks very similar to the driver. It's just shallower on the face and smaller in the head. Same thing. This is a 5 wood actually. So it says 5 right here. I don't know if you can see. This is the fairway wood. You would hit this guy off the fairways when you have a long ways to go. Obviously, driver, you usually hit it only off the tee boxes with a tee. And then we have a hybrid, just like the name. It's kind of a smaller in size. It's kind of length of an iron, but shaped similar to a wood. So it's a lot easier to hit than say a long iron, which we'll get into in a little bit. So a lot of beginners do tend to, after they learn like 7 irons and 5 irons, go straight into learning hybrids right before starting to learn the fairway woods. It's just better transition that way. And also if you're in a very thick rough and it's hard to get the ball out, in that case you want to use the hybrid. In the beginning of the hybrids era, it used to be called a rescue club because it rescues you from thick grass. But hybrid is more of a widely used name nowadays. And then let's look at the irons. This is an iron, obviously looks like this. Ta-da! With the graphite shaft and the grip. So this is a 6 iron. A lot of golfers get 6s and 9s confused. So they usually have a line on the bottom of 6 to indicate this is 6. The size of the head is quite different. The loft is different. So you should be able to tell eventually. A lot of people don't like to use the long irons, which are 3 iron, 4 iron, 5 iron kind of things. Those are considered as long irons. The long irons have smaller heads and less loft, meaning The loft here is standing up a little bit more, and length of the shaft is longer, so it is more difficult to hit. So long irons, a lot of people tend to avoid owning them and replace them with hybrids. Hybrids are a lot easier to get airborne and make contact with. And then the numbering is actually opposite to what we think is normal. Short irons would be like a 9 iron, maybe 8 could be in there, but 8 is more in the mid iron range. And then 7 iron, 6 iron, 8 iron would be in the mid iron range. The numbers get bigger as the length of the shot gets shorter. And as the number gets bigger, the club gets shorter and more lofted. And also you use mainly the 7 iron for the first lessons ever of your life. We use 7 iron to get your half swing going first, which is here to here. And then once you get better at that, we go into full swing. So you tend to use the mid irons the most, especially in the beginning of your golfing career. But I do strongly suggest that you start with golf lessons right away, because golf swing is very complex and you want to learn it properly from the get-go. That way you're preventing injuries and also giving you higher chances of becoming a better player down the road. If you don't start well, it's really hard to get rid of your habits and relearn everything. So start with a good coach, and quite a few number of golf lessons would be my big recommendation. Now we have wedges. There are graphite shafts or wedges, but pros tend to prefer steel shaft even if they do use graphites for irons. Steel shafts tend to have more consistent performance, even though newbies don't really need to know that. So wedges, we have like a gap wedge, which is usually right around 52 degrees, sand wedge, which is right around 56, and then a lob wedge, we usually say 60 degrees, but some 58 degrees are considered lob wedge as well. So gap, or we call it approach wedge as well. Gap or approach wedge, and you'll have like a G or an A or a 52 for 52 degrees, and then S for sand wedge, or just the degree of the loft, or L for lob wedge, or the degree of the loft. These wedges are used for really short, delicate shots around the putting green area. You definitely want to learn your short game before you go out on the golf course. And then last but not the least, ta-da, a putter. So this is a putter. Looks very different. Even the grip is shaped very differently. This is what we use on the putting greens. It's such a short shot. A lot of the beginners don't pay too much attention to it, but the more you learn about golf, you realize how important putting is. It takes up about 40% of your score, so eventually you will start to pay more attention to the putting, but in the beginning you'll have so many things you have to remember and think about. So maybe putter, you won't pay too much attention to it right away, but this is what you use on the putting green. So you guys understand, long game is like full swings, like short irons, mid irons, long irons, hybrid, fairway woods, driver. And then short game is like wedges, chip shots, pitch shots, putting. Those are short game. And then when it comes to golf bags, tour bags is what usually a lot of the tour players use. A lot of amateurs tend to use carry bags, usually double strapped or one strap with a stand. It is a lot lighter and smaller in size, so it is much easier to carry around. But for those of you who want to look good, tend to carry the tour bag, which is a lot pricier and a lot heavier and a lot bigger. There's a moon bag, like we call it half bag or a moon bag. It's a tiny bag to fit just maybe 4 or 5 golf clubs tops. Oh yeah, there's 14 clubs to a set. That's the maximum number of clubs you can have. If you go over that, you do get penalized. To begin with, I mean, you don't need a lot of clubs, but I do suggest to have, you know, a variety. That way you learn to hit all these different clubs. I mentioned that you should get lessons, obviously, right away. And then the more lofted the clubs are, the easier it is to hit them. Also, there are beginner sets with thicker soles on the bottom. So for the iron, this would be the sole, and this is more like an advanced golfer's iron, but beginner sets tend to be a lot thicker on the soles, and that really helps to get the contact more consistent. It's a lot easier to hit. So today we mainly focused on the golf terms for inside the bag. I mean, I know a lot of you guys should already know the names of the clubs, but I was very surprised to learn that a lot of beginners didn't realize what every club was called and what every part of the club were called. So when I'll be giving lessons and saying, you know, your toe of the club head, and they'll be like, what's the toe of the club head? So I hope you guys were able to follow along. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will continue with this series and talk about like etiquette and rules, etc. Very exciting stuff coming soon. So thank you for golfing with me and see you in the next one. Mwah!